All right, so we are creating Dabius camp block here, and we're going to be starting our journey in Mortal Online 2. But I wanted to make sure I talked about this character creator screen for anybody that doesn't really know about this, because this is extremely important going into the game and even going into, like, you know, end game. The decisions that you make here really matter for your end game character. So I'm going to be a male Alvarian, with basically an elf, and then there's two different races you can go, Vila and Shriva, right? And they'll be for humans. I think there's more. For instance, if I go to human, there's like a bunch of different ones, right? Same with Orgrimmar, right? There's two different ones. Thurser, there's different ones. They all change the stats over here on the left side. So as you see, as I'm like going through this, right, it all changes your stat caps and some of your base stats too, but mainly your stat caps over here. Humans are kind of like the best all around race, or clade is what they're called. Alvarians are really fast. They're good at being archers. They're good mages as well. Ogmirs are basically tanks, frontline, fatty tank guys. And Thurser are big two-handed melee people, basically. So we're going to choose a Alvarin Vila, and then we're going to go into Bloodline. Bloodline here, this changes some more of your base stats. And really the best way to show you guys this, and this link will be in the description of this video, you have your grandmother, your grandfather, your grandmother, and your grandfather on both sides, and that kind of determines a lot of your stats. So as you can see, if I change this to Shriva, it will tell you your caps and how they change based on what you do here. So for instance, if I were to switch this, my intelligence cap would go up by 2, but my strength and my dexterity caps would go down by 1. My max height and my min heights would go down by 1 as well. My attribute pool would go up by 2. Your attribute pool is this number right here. So I right now have 466 total attributes, and that's what goes into these points here. So strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, and psych. You have the total of this character 466. If I switch to Shriva, now I have a total of 468 attribute points, and that's your end game. That's your character at its last point, the very end, right? When you're building your character, you're going to think about this, because your character at the end is going to really matter based on the decisions that you make right now. So that's like kind of the grandfather and grandmother thing. Then the next step is to choose your age, strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, psych. So you have a base available attribute points of 25. And one thing that changes here is your age, and your size are the two things that you kind of want to change here. And again, if you go to the website that we talked about, you can see how age affects your different stats over here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my age to what it says right here, which is 22. So if I go down to 22, as you can see, my caps are all changing, right? So you see how my constitution cap is definitely changing. My intelligence caps goes up as I get older. My strength cap is going up. So your caps will change based on your age. And then same thing with weight here. For weight, there's all of these different classes of weight: skeletal, bony, skinny, underweight, lean, fit, stout, overweight, fat, bulging, and obese, right? And each one of these little sections kind of change a lot of your stat caps as well, along with your health and what you're good at. So for instance, bulging, you get a lot of extra intelligence, right? But if I come down here to stout, I get a lot of extra strength and dexterity, right? So based on what you're trying to do, you're going to want to change your weight to affect that. So as you can see, I'll change my size, and your height will change over here, right? So this is how you choose your height from that website. So first you put it in on the website, and then you can change your size like this. And then what you'll also do is on the next page, you'll change your weight, right? So here's the weight that we were talking about. So I want to be stout, right? And it even tells you right there, it's stout. So I'm going to put my character on stout 1 at the max of stout, because that's the most, like, the cap for that area. So I'll put it on the max of stout, so I have the highest statistical cap. And then the next thing you'll do is you'll have a bunch of available attribute points once you reduce your size or add your size. Oh, I gotta make my age, by the way, 31. Forgot to do that. So now I have 25 attribute points. The rule of thumb is to put it all into dexterity, because dexterity is super difficult to level up. So you kind of just want to put it all into dexterity. That's what I've been told. I'm sure there's going to be somebody in the comments that argues with that. I do want to talk about Clade Gifts. This website, as you're planning your build, you're going to want to, before you put anything into any of this or into any of the skills or anything, you're going to go into your gifts and choose kind of your 20 gifts that you're going to get. This is kind of a passive tree that gives you different stats and abilities based on your clade, right? And again, your clade is is either a human, Alvarin, Orgmir, Thurser, right? You'll read all these different stats, and then you'll just choose the 20 that you like that kind of fit with your build. For instance, I'm trying to go a tamer archer that's fast, right? So I have all the things that kind of make me fast, all the things that help my archery, all the things that help me with animals, things with my stamina, things like that. So you always want to come in here and do your Clade Gifts first, and then come in here and build the rest of your character. All right. So then first thing you're going to do once you get in the game is you're going to follow the quests up in the top right. You have basic combat, but I did want to show you guys that there are going to be these tutors all around the starting area that you're going to want to interact with, because they'll teach you the basics of different skills. So like here's the combat tutor, right? It'll teach you the basics of whatever you're trying to learn. And this is just kind of good to do in the very beginning, because you're not going to keep all of this stuff. Like for instance, I'm not going to keep all those skill points that we just learned in all of those. But what this does is it's a good way for me to show you kind of how the action skill menu is set up. Show primary skills. These are the ones that actually cost points to put things into. Okay. And by points, I mean this. You have 1,100 points total. So secondary skills do not take points from your pool, but primary skills do. So for instance, axes is a primary skill, right? That takes points from your total pool. Say you don't want points to go into this, because the way this works is it will add points over time as you do the thing. So if I'm killing stuff with axes, it's going to take points from this pool, this 950, and add it to this. But say I don't want that to happen. I can hit that button and change it to locked. So now as I'm doing things with axes, points will not be taken from this pool to be put into this. Now say I'm all out of points from here and I'm trying to level up spears, for instance, which is another primary stat. If I have spears on plus and I can put axes on minus, what that does now is it takes points from axes, puts it into your pool to then be added to wherever you have a plus on your primary skills. So another really good thing you can do while you're in Haven is make sure you get as many books done or skills learned or opened that you need. So there's a library on the north side of town. If you open up your Haven map and you turn it over, you'll see up here there's a library, right? So you just kind of like start in the middle, just follow the road up, and it's right there on the left. Inside of here, you'll find all of the basically all of the books in the game that will help you learn skills over time. So for instance, if I were to put in a what is a really good one to put in is riding, right? Riding, because you'll be able to ride your horse, and until you're level 20, I believe, you kind of get knocked off your horse as you're riding. So if you buy this, you're able to put it inside of your character book slot. And what this does is it levels up your riding skill over time. So if I go into my skills here and I search for riding, it will level up this skill over time rather than it being done like while you're doing it, right? So like over time, meaning like even when you're offline. So it'll be like 48 hours, it will level it up by owning this book. So this is a good thing to do while you're still in Haven. If you want to like try to get a couple books to be able to learn while you're in here farming, right? Writing's a really good one. Another really good one is reading, because reading allows you to be able to read other books better, right? Or faster. So you start off with reading and then go into writing, right? What you also want to do with these is unlock skills that you can't necessarily unlock otherwise. So for instance, mental training is a really good example for this. So mental training is a skill that helps, you know, with your magic, right? Specifically mental offense, it increases your effectiveness, but the mental training skill is primary, but you cannot learn mental training through action, right? So you have to use this through a book, but mental offense can be learned through action. So mental offense is something that you'll learn as you're casting spells. But to get mental offense, to be able to add levels to it while you're casting spells, you need to unlock mental training first. So to be able to do that, you go ahead and you buy mental training, the book from the vendor here. You go ahead and start reading it on your character. So you would put it right here in this slot. You would start reading it and then instantly take it out because you don't need it anymore, right? So you can do that and then go to reading or writing or something like that, because all that does is unlocks mental training, and thus now you have mental offense. And as you're leveling up mental offense, you're then leveling up mental training as well. So you level up both of these at the exact same time. So you don't have to necessarily read the entire book for mental training. And there's a few other skills that are like that too. Basically, there are things that level up based on the skill inside of it that can happen, right? So like controlled riding will level up as you're doing mounted archery, right? But you can't start mounted archery before you learn control writing, right? So control writing cannot be learned through action. You have to read the control writing book, and then you can start doing mounted archery, which can be learned through action. And then that will also increase your controlled writing skill. On your character sheet, these are those attribute points that we were talking about. See, I have 155 left. So I don't want psych. So I'm going to put this on minus because I don't need any psych, but I want to have basically strength, dexterity, and intelligence go up to max. And then here's the Clade Gifts that I was talking about. So remember on the website, here's all those Clade Gifts. This takes a very long time to level up. This is not something that you just do, right? This is like you're leveling this up over time. And then you also have the statistics page. You have your health, mana, and stamina reserves. So this is kind of weird to understand, but you have, if you look right here on my health bar, I have 129 health. As my health goes down, it will pull from these health reserves to be able to fill it back up. Same with your mana and stamina reserves.